Welcome, Recketers, to this week's Dev Update. Today, you're going to see us play through some of the initial story quest, some of the initial level design we've been working on for this upcoming playtest, and you'll kind of see the state of things and what to expect on future playtests going forward. So I'm going to list some things we've been working on while you watch the video, give you a little update about where the dev process is, what to expect for the next playtest, and what to expect going forward. So after the last playtest and the crashes and the corruption issues, we spent some time, I wouldn't say going back to the drawing board, but we went and focused on fixing some of those issues we've just been putting off for features. So on Monday, we implemented a fix for the corruption inventory issue when the client crashes, and that appears to be working. We also created a siege server that's external to the game server as well as a public event server. We are going to be implementing those this week and next week for the next playtest, so that the logic of the siege server and the public event will live externally to the game server, making it more network efficient. We spent a lot of time cleaning up some of the spawners, the network logic within them to increase network efficiency. We've identified the shop crash bug issue and are working on a fix. We're resolving a fix with the spawners now so that the mobs will respawn correctly. We have begun building out that initial introduction story quest, tutorial quest that every MMO has, where it walks you through the basics. That's what you're seeing here in the video. So I'm walking slowly just so you can kind of see the design in the cave. But as we get through here, we're going to go through the quest up to the point where it ends right now. And you'll see that it has some of those traditional elements. And this quest is intended to get you to the first town, introduce you to some of the other NPCs, and start the main story quest. It's just an introduction to the game that's kind of guided how you do things, what to do, where to do it, that type of thing. You'll see some of the combat. We've been working on improving that as well. I worked on mob to character balancing. You no longer are going to start with a bunch of money. You're going to actually have to play the progression. We're going to remove the leveling button. So now in future playtests, you're going to have to actually level, do the quest. What is available to you in the game will be what is available in the actual game and release. So you're going to get a kind of feel the progression to help us adjust and fine-tune that. So you're no longer going to be able to just buy all the spells, and we'll leave the dragon in for testing, but other than that, it's going to be the standard progression, like doing the quest, leveling, seeing how it feels, giving us feedback. We've buffed some of the mobs, we've tweaked some of their behavior. We tweaked the fireball spell. It looks 1,000 times better now. It does a little less damage. Takes a little more mana, so you can't just blast mobs. The mobs have enough health now, though. Takes quite a few fireballs to kill them, so you have to actually think about, even on the beginning mobs, like how you attack them. Now, these beginning ones are still fairly easy in their logic and movement, but as you progress, you'll see we get to some of the defenders, which are a little bit more moderately hard, and they can kill you pretty easily. If you're a good player, you can kill them pretty easily. And it's just going to progressively get harder as you go through the progression. It's not meant to be your traditional MMO, just go, burn through mobs. You can see here, the mobs are kind of clumped together, and it appears the spawner actually spawned multiple instances of the mobs, because I had it set to 6 at this time. So again, we're trying to wrap up that spawner fix logic before the next major playtest. We're also going to make the spawner respawn mobs as they die. Right now, its current logic is it waits till all of the mobs relative to its spawner have died before respawning, which obviously isn't good for like a quest when you have multiple people starting. So we're working on that change now so that we can respawn mobs as you kill them. And if you remember from the last dev update, you can see that this starting area has been changed quite a bit. There's more resources, there's a lot more rocks, it's more focused. And it feels a lot more polished. So we're going to continue killing these mobs, and then we'll continue with the quest. I was trying to see if they would respawn if I killed them all. So again, we're just fixing that logic for the next playtest. We expect to have an unofficial one on probably Friday, Saturday, if people are around to play, just to test some of this new stuff that we've been doing, validate the quest up to where it is, and give us feedback. If we don't get the spawner fix done by tomorrow, we might not do that until early next week, because it would be kind of pointless to do it without the spawner working correctly. It would just cause issues. but you shouldn't experience the corruption issue anymore. You shouldn't experience the client crashings. You should feel very optimized. You should run about 60 frames a second if you're on a 3090. If you're on a 3070, you'll probably get about 40 frames a second. There might be a few frame drops in a few areas that I'm still optimizing as I've been building out kind of like the foliage and actual design. So that's kind of what I need feedback on too. So when you're playing through this, even in the unofficial one, if you do get time to join, just make sure to kind of like hit tab and type stat space FPS and go ahead and drop us a screenshot in Discord of your FPS, like in different areas, so we can see how optimized it is across different machines. That would be super helpful for us. So all playtests going forward, it's going to be like playing the actual game, going through the quest line, leveling up, setting your stats, unlocking spells, and things like that. It's no longer going to be just a test. So we're not going to have defined times. We'll just start it and let you guys play for a few days and get feedback. And, we can coordinate some times when we're testing bigger things. But that's kind of the intention going forward. So you can just play with your friends, get feedback, find bugs. And again, we've been working on just cleaning up little things, adjusting the inventory amounts for now until we input the inventory amounts of shops is what I'm saying, until we input the specified number to buy instead of the slider. So it doesn't, it's like thousands of things when you try to buy it. Just little things like that, and improvements and tweaks that are easy that we can do while we do some bug fixes to kind of make everything feel a little smoother and feel a little better as you play it, a little more refined. So, going forward, the unofficial one and the next major one, we shouldn't have all those crashing issues that we had on Friday. As you see here now, though, I'm following the quest. It's now asking me to mine some metal. So I'm going to go mine metal 3 times. And then instead of having to go back to the tutorial NPC, it's actually just going to ask me to continue on and go talk to the next NPC in the quest line, which is going to be Faye. So I'm going to go right up the hill here to Faye, and then we'll talk to her, and then we'll see where the quest goes from there. But as you see, again, the graphics are a lot more polished. And yeah, so we've been spending a lot of work trying to find the most optimized assets, build out the level, like the actual level progression, and design so that it starts to come together as an actual game, and they aren't just random play tests, so we can start testing, balancing, and feel and get feedback there. There's a lot more fixes we're working on the back end. Splitting all game logic that isn't required to be in the game server is going to be individual servers. I have a template for creating those now. So we're working real hard. I was able to depack the player data and be able to see what the player has. So that's how I was able to, kind of fix the corruption issue. So we're going to be making some larger changes going forward to kind of fix the network efficiency, stability, and just make it overall better. Specifically also around like the notifies when you go to pull out your weapon or when you go to swing your weapon and do the combo. As you've noticed, it's a little laggy in the server, and that's because it works on a notify, and that notify isn't reliably synced. So we're working on a way to fix that so that pulling out your weapons and doing combos feels as smooth as shooting the bow and casting spells. That won't be in by the next playtest. That's a much larger fix, but we are working on it. We know it's a problem. Just bear with us. It will get better. So yeah, and now it's having me gather some flowers. Then it's going to tell me to go speak with Faye again. And you can see here we got some cool design. We got some mobs guarding that tree. That's actually part of the next step of the quest. So you can see here, like visually, the game's really starting to come together, like design-wise, starting to feel more polished. And so feedback is always appreciated there. We need to clean up like the text of the storyline, and I'll probably change the font of like the quest explanation and the NPC dialogue. All capitals kind of makes it hard to read, to be completely honest. So that's probably a tweak I'm going to do here. Let's see here, Faye, after we spoke with Faye, it's basically going to tell us to go kill some demons. And then once we kill the demons, it's going to say, go speak with Faye again. And then it's going to complete that part of the quest. It doesn't go past there right now, just because I haven't done the next part. So that's really where it's going to stop, is basically once you Once you kill a demon that's defending the tree, it only requires you to kill one. You're going to go speak with Faye, and that's really going to be the end of that initial story quest. And she's actually going to give you a spell too. So your first spell comes from the start of the quest, the tutorial NPC, and your second spell is going to come from Faye. And it's a pretty good spell. It's called Ice Spiral. It's a ground ice spell that applies kind of like a freezing slow to your opponent. So it'll help you when initially fighting some of these harder mobs. And you can see here, like, the mob even has logic to block to reduce its damage. So we're still tweaking the logic so that it'll attack more between blocks. So it'll be a little harder. But if you run out of stamina, it'll mess you up. Each swing of the mob takes about 100 health. And they pretty easily stagger you and knock you down too. You'll see later in the video I actually die from some mobs. So that's kind of the intention. We're not trying to make it like super easy that you can just breeze through it. We want to make it super hard in the beginning, and as you get more powerful, it'll become easier. It won't linearly scale, but it'll be a little easier than it is in the beginning. And that's kind of the intention here. If you remember games like Lineage 2, like, that's kind of how it was. Like, when you started out, it was kind of pain to kill mobs. Like, those initial like mobs are kind of easy, but once you start to get to like level 10 and level up, like, it was pretty hard until you started getting gear and money to buy like soul shots and stuff. So that's kind of really what we're aiming to do here, instead of like Black Desert or like Arcade or Aeon, where like the mobs initially are fairly easy and they got harder over time. We kind of want to do the opposite of that, hard and get easier over time, but not easier to the point where it becomes you can just mow through them, right? So the intention is the game is always going to be difficult to kill mobs, but rewarding when you do. So look forward to that. So here we're just kind of like looking at the design now that we've kind of completed that quest. So you can see here we really tried to focus on good open world level design, where the level design itself kind of guides you through the world and shows you where to go. And so the next part of the quest is going to have you like go this direction and then make it to the little town that's around the corner here. We're still working on the town, which is why I haven't done the quest to the town yet. So it's going to be a little fishing village on the sea, and we're still kind of working on that design. So while one of our world designers, Q, is working on that, I've been working on the kind of the area around the town, this little forest, some of the foliage, the roads, the rocks, like things like that make it feel really polished and really bring out the graphical essence of what we're trying to achieve. And it's actually quite optimized. So it actually plays pretty well in the editor as well as the compiled version. So I would expect, at 3070 or 3060 to get around 39 to 40 frames a second on Epic here. So this is all in Epic settings with 3090. And when you run locally like this, like, you're also running the game server, so it's actually a little bit slower than when it's compiled. So get even better like in the deployed version. I just saw that I used Ice Spiral against this mob. There seems to be some weird blocking thing coming off that tree right there when you cast Fireball by it. It doesn't block the player, but for some reason Fireball was catching on it, so I'll have to fix that. As you see here, this is where I'm going to die, because I'm going to get double teamed by these mobs, and they're going to fuck me up. You saw they basically 3-shot me. I'm designed over here, ignore that. So we're going to go run back through the forest so you can kind of see like the layout, the design, the assets. Yeah. Here's a little like entrance going down to the fishing village with the little border fort wall. That makes it pretty nice. I still need to make the doors like open and shut automatically for the player, like I did in the test map for the castle. I just haven't got that yet. So you can see here it's pretty well like fleshed out, like design wise, maybe a few more tweaks here and there. You got this big like overgrown like root tree like growing to the ground here, which adds a cool like layered depth to the game.
It's cheaper and saves us a step.
And you see here we're like really focused on like it's got a really good fantasy feel, and it's not that typical like super dark and gritty dark fantasy. The world is gonna feel bright enchanted fantasy, but be dark at the same time. So that's kind of like the goal we're going for with the design. So that's really what we've been working on, is like really fleshing out this initial like progression path and level design, and how the open world design actually walks you through the game based on good open world design principles. Then as you progress like in level, the design will open up more and be more open-ended open world. But like the initial progression, really probably through level like 10 is not going to be guided per se, but like the design of the level with the rocks and the way it moves is going to kind of walk you in the direction you need to go, but also give you the ability to kind of choose what you want to do at the same time. That's kind of the goal here, until you really become acclimated, and then it's going to be a little more open. I mean, some areas will still do that obviously, but looking forward to getting people's feedback and understanding if they like the way the graphics are looking, the design, if it's optimized. As you saw, the fireball looks 1,000 times better now than it did before. So it's really starting to come together. The quest stuff is really starting to come together, so I'm going to keep fleshing that out before our unofficial test, so that we have a little bit more questing we can do. So you can at least get to level 10 from questing is like my ultimate goal. You see I'm on level 5 here. You don't have to quest a level, you can just go kill mobs if you want, but you see I'm about to run out of potions essentially after just killing a few mobs, and you don't start with money anymore, so you either have to craft potions or make enough money to go buy them. And all the elements to create health and mana potions are actually going to be around the starting area, like that red Onistia or whatever you say. I can't even say the damn name, and I made it. It's going to be used to make health potions, and then magic crystals, mana crystals, are going to be found nearby in a cave, and they're used to make mana potions. And the DZ mushrooms, those green glowing mushrooms, they're used to make stamina potions. The only other thing you need is bloodstones, which you get from killing demons. So yeah, that's a little bit about the initial design here. I hope you guys liked it. Always up for feedback. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good day.